Hi there, Adrian here from Tactical Project Manager. It's been a long time since I posted a new video for you, but I've been super busy creating new content for the blog and also working on a couple of project management online courses. Also, my wife and we got our first child and she's keeping us busy. So today I finally found some time to record a new video for you. And I thought I'd share a bit about my story of how I became a project manager. The path that I took from a technical role to eventually leading multi-million-dollar IT projects for some of the best companies in the world. So why could this video be interesting for you? Maybe you want to manage projects as well and become a project manager, and you want to understand what path can lead you towards that goal. Then this video will be very helpful for you. But on a broader perspective, I also be talking about how to make smart career decisions. If you want to be even more successful in your career, in your job, have more responsibility, move into a higher level role, and of course, make more money, what are some strategies you can use to boost your career? In this video, I'm going to share a few strategies that have worked very well for me. But before we get started, some of you may be watching my content for the first time. So just a quick intro from my side. I'm Adrian Neumeyer and I run Tactical Project Manager, a website where I teach people how to successfully manage projects in the real world and how to be a leader. So talking about my career path, I should probably start with my educational background. I have a dual degree in computer science and business administration, so a combined program. Why did I choose that combination instead of focusing on a single field? The thing is, I've always been very interested in technology and software, but I was also interested in the business side of things. And I wanted to understand how the tools that we build in computer science, how they were being used in a company, how they would provide benefit to the organization. What also drew me towards business was I always enjoyed working with people. And I didn't want to become that expert who is sitting on his computer for the entire day, doing tech stuff, but hardly getting to see anything else besides his or her own area. And the first piece of advice I can give you is our world is getting more and more complex. And specifically, the world of business is coming more and more complex. And having multiple skills in different areas which sort of complement each other, like technology, but also business, is becoming more and more an asset, an extremely valuable asset. So if you have skills from different areas, maybe an engineer or a computer scientist, and you also have business skills, you can read a balance sheet, you can create a cash flow statement, you know how to create a business plan, you understand how to communicate effectively with other teams, with the clients and suppliers. I mean, companies will pay you extremely well if you have multiple skills like that. And they will basically create a dream position for you. And you'll be the one who will be considered for higher level and management positions. And companies are desperately looking for people who don't just have a technical background, but also who have an understanding of business processes. Now, after finishing my degree, I looked for an interesting position where I could use my newly acquired skills. There were many companies that I could have joined, but I had very clear expectations as to what kind of company I would like to work at. I wanted to work for a company that had a well-known brand, because it makes a big difference if you have worked for a prestigious brand that everybody knows versus some smaller company that nobody will know. Yeah. I also wanted to work for a company that had a leading market position, a company with a profitable business, because only a company which is making good profits is able to pay its employees well. And I wanted to be well paid. Instead, if you work for a low margin business, in a low margin industry, the salary level will also be lower. Another important point for me was to work for an organization which had a great company culture, a company that put an emphasis on developing its employees, which was really caring for its employees. So the company I ended up joining was a Swiss manufacturing company, highly respected in the industry. And this company had just won the first prize as a great place to work because of its outstanding company culture. My first job was that of an IT consultant, where I was managing the SAP system of the company. It was a global role, which meant I had to deal with all the different market organizations in other countries. It was also a cross-functional role, meaning I had the opportunity to work closely with other business areas and therefore very interesting. What I focused on in my first years on the new job was to really learn as much as I could, both about the field that I was dealing with, but also about the related business processes and areas in the company. And I also put a lot of effort into building a network, getting to know the employees and all the managers and executives. And building a network in your company is really, really helpful because it just gives you more opportunities. Let's say when you're trying to move into another position or when you're working together on a project and you need the support from other departments, it's much easier if you have built that relationship with the managers and with the employees. And it's also more fun. As I said, I enjoyed interacting with other people. So I did that IT consultant job for about 3 years. And after about 3 years, I got bored with what I was doing. Things started to repeat. I was doing the same projects, talking to the same people, answering the same questions, solving the same problems over and over again. And I wanted to do something different and meet other people. Now, fortunately, in the company, there were many opportunities to move into other exciting positions. And for me, it was clear that I wanted to do something fundamentally different, something where I could challenge myself. And at the time, my company was doing a lot of big projects. And there was this group of senior project managers, which I really admired. They were incredibly smart, extremely professional. They worked very hard, but they also seemed to enjoy what they were doing. But what impressed me the most were their social skills. I mean, observing them in a group setting with their team, the way they talked, the jokes they made, the stories they told about projects they had done, their body language, their ability to attract the attention of their audience and really influence people, it was amazing. It seemed so effortless and so professional to me. And you could tell how much the team loved to work with these project managers. So I said to myself, I want to be like them. I want to be a project manager. Of course, I had zero understanding of what the work was like. But you know what? Sometimes it's good not to know what you're getting yourself into. Because had I known how challenging the work of the project manager would become, I may not have made the move. But I would also not have grown the way I did through my project management experience. So I approached my manager and let him know that I wanted to try project management. And fortunately, he had just kicked off an exciting new project. And they were trying to implement some new technology, some new system. There was already a project manager assigned to the project. But my manager, he gave me the opportunity to support this project on the side as an assistant for a few hours every week. And that's what I did. I attended project meetings and took the minutes. I checked in with the team members to make sure that the project tasks were completed on time. I created PowerPoint presentations. I performed data collection and analysis work, that sort of tasks. And over time, I took over more responsibilities. And eventually, when the main project manager left the company, I fully took over the project leadership. And for another year, I managed a couple of smaller projects using that IT system that we had just rolled out. And then, again, I got bored with what I was doing. Time to look for a new opportunity. Like before, I wanted to try something new, work in a different area. And since I had just worked in IT, I thought now was a good time to try a business role. So kind of change the perspective. Because as an IT consultant, my customers were our business units. So now I would move into the opposite role and basically become the customer of IT. And generally, it's not easy to move from a purely technical role into a business role. But my company really encouraged the employees to work in different areas and understanding the business processes in those other areas. The new position that I ended up taking was in the corporate finance department. I became what was called a process manager, where my responsibility was to define the accounting side of our business processes. So in a business process, when you're, let's say, selling additional services to a client, when you're shipping goods or you're receiving goods from a vendor, what happens in your books? How do these transactions reflect in your accounting? That's what I was now in charge of defining. And I had a basic understanding of accounting from my university classes, but they were quite limited, to be honest. But I thought it was worth the effort to build up finance skills, because for any higher level managerial role, you need to have a solid understanding of financial concepts and the finance terminology. One thing I forgot to mention is, how did I land this finance position, given that it's not so easy to move from tech role to a business role? In my time as an IT project manager, I was running the steering committee meetings, where we would also have a number of business executives attending. And one of the executives, she was the head of the accounting department. So we had worked together already. And this lady, the head of accounting, she knew about my work and about my skills. And you know what? This is one of the reasons why project management is a great career choice, fantastic area to work in, because you build up a massive network and you get visibility in your organization. Unlike when you stay in a very narrow role where you'll just be working with a small group of people and you have little contact to other departments. So I took the finance job. What was it like? The first few months were quite challenging, I tell you, because I was not a finance expert yet and I didn't have a finance degree like my coworkers. So I spent a lot of extra time learning the finance concepts, sucking up as much knowledge as possible. And to be honest, I experienced some embarrassing moments being a beginner in that field. In the first months on this finance job, I was already assigned to conduct a few trainings for other business units, finance trainings. And in one of the meetings, one of the attendees, he asked me some question about a business process and how that related to depreciation. And I had no clue what he was asking me. I just froze up and I blushed because I couldn't answer his question. Totally embarrassing. But you know what? Such situations are totally normal and they're okay when you are moving into another field. You will always experience such situations. And you learn by trying, by making mistakes, and step by step building up your skills in that new area. The same is true for project management. I quickly got over that embarrassing situation and I got to do really exciting work and became very confident in what I was doing. I also took over the lead over a very interesting project. My company was trying to move away from paper-based invoicing to electronic invoicing, where we would send PDF invoices to our clients. And a PDF invoice costs virtually zero, whereas a paper invoice can cost you a few cents to $1. And it just adds up for the company when they have thousands and millions of orders. So I led the business side of this project and it was very exciting also because the project had an immediate benefit for the company. We were able to calculate for every day how much money we had saved the company on that specific day. After 1.5 years, big changes happened. This was in 2008 or 2009, just after the financial crisis. My company started an internal restructuring program where they basically reevaluated the organizational setup of the company. And that meant that some jobs would get cut or get moved to other countries. And while it wasn't sure whether my role would still remain at the headquarters where I was based, I just didn't like the uncertainty about it. I wanted clarity on how I could continue my career. And so I decided to look for another job at another company. In terms of the next position that I was looking for, I definitely wanted to have more responsibility. I wanted to grow with every position and become either a line manager or a project manager. I had talks with a few bigger companies and I accepted a role as a project manager at Bosch, which you may know is a global technology company, very successful, long history, more than 300,000 employees worldwide. And I became the project lead for a massive SAP implementation program. So several projects. If you have not heard about the term SAP, SAP is a software solution that larger companies use to manage their business processes. Accounting, sales, supply chain, finance, service, etc. It's all managed in that SAP system. And I was in charge of bringing our different plants in different companies who had their own system, bring those factories on our central SAP system. And because our plants were located all across the globe, the project also meant a lot of traveling. Now, the thing is, I had never done projects of that size before. The projects had multi-million-dollar budgets. And it was the first time that I also was responsible for managing the cost side. The projects were business critical. If we messed up any of those projects, we could effectively bring our operations to a complete standstill. There would be no production, we couldn't enter any orders, we couldn't ship any goods, we could basically send the employees home. And also for the first time, this was really 100% management and coordination role. And I was no longer involved in any of the technical work. So a huge amount of responsibility. And I remember especially the first weeks, man, it was tough. There were many nights where I couldn't sleep. My mind was going crazy because it was trying to solve all the problems that I was dealing with, answer the questions that I had in mind. But I had very good people on my team with a lot of experience, and they understood the details of the work that needed to be done. So my role as the project leader was to fit all those pieces together, to figure out how the different steps in this project had to be carried out, what we had to do first, second, third, and so on, and how much time was required for each task. And that's your primary role when you start on your project, to create a working project plan by involving all your team members and stakeholders. And you don't have to be the expert in the particular area. I was not an expert in SAP implementations. So the way I approached the development of a project schedule as a non-expert was by asking my team members good questions. What do we need to do to achieve X? Why can't we start that task earlier? What would happen if we did things the other way? And then listen and try to make sense from all the information that I got, and in a sort of iterative mode, create a schedule that would work for everybody. And through those questions, I got a clearer picture of what needed to be done, and we would be able to identify shortcuts and opportunities that helped us to compress that massive workload into a pretty tight time frame of about a year. So each project was about 1 year in duration. Once we had built the project schedule, we worked on the actual implementation of the new system. And like in most projects, once you get to the actual implementation, the doing, as a project manager, you'll be spending most of your time trying to solve problems, to solve issues. That's your main duty. And issues pop up all the time. You can be sure that once you have fixed one problem, the next problem is already waiting for you to be solved. You just have to go check your email and there's the next issue. But together with my team, we managed to overcome all those obstacles, professionally deal with all those issues, and we completed the implementation successfully in schedule and within the budget. What did I learn being a full-time project manager, and what did I enjoy most about the work? Leading a big project under difficult, extremely difficult circumstances, different time zones, distributed teams, etc., tight deadlines, where many people thought these projects were impossible. And then actually bringing these projects to a successful closing. That's an incredible feeling. My confidence went up, and it has completely changed my perspective on what I can accomplish in life. Of course, I also enjoyed the benefits of leading a key project, a project that was very critical for the company. There was a lot of money behind, so we were allowed to fly business class, to stay in 5-star hotels, and nobody bothered really about our huge travel bills. Because the company wanted to make sure that the team was really feeling well all the time and had the resources they needed. But by far the best experience for me was working with the people, with my team, all the interactions. And we had a great team and very strong bond. And it was just fun to work with the team members. It was like a family. And until this day, I'm in touch with many of my former team members. So that's the story of how I became a project manager. And I hope there are some valuable insights that you took away from my story. Now, my question to you, is there anything else you want to know of what it's like of being a project manager? Or do you have any questions of how you can accomplish that move into project management? What steps you should take? Leave a comment below with your question. Below the video, you can also find links to my website, Tactical Project Manager, as well as links to some of my courses. If you are trying to become a project manager yourself, I have created a pretty comprehensive online course where I show you exactly how you can move into project management using the experience you already have. And I talk about the skills you need to become a project manager, how to present yourself to companies looking for PM talent, so what should your resume look like, how to connect with recruiters and hiring managers, all those things. So it's really a complete course to help you get into a project management role. So go check it out. And that's it from my side. Thank you very much for staying with me until the end, and I wish you all the best.